Well, hello everyone, my name is Adita and welcome back to another bonus episode of Dress in the Sky the 3rd. Today we are going to the 8th star door, and it's about Olivert and his bodyguards, which is Mueller. So yeah, let's see their side story. Will there be a fight? Alright, there's no fight. Good. That means we can just jump straight into the story. One month after the collapse of the Olivert Arc, the banquet to celebrate the crisis' successful resolution was over, with Estelle and her friends having celestially left the capital to go elsewhere. One of them, however, Prince Olivert Price Arnor, sat rather comfortably in the ambassador office and Grensel Erbunning embassy, his work in the country not quite settled. I can't believe that you... my deepest apologies for not noticing that you are His Highness Prince Olivert sooner. Oh, that's the ambassador. Yeah. Oh, I'm not surprised you were never realized. I may be a prince, but my mother was a commander. What point is there in bothering to remember my face? It's not as though I often shut myself in the palace or attend high society gatherings. Knowing me certainly isn't going to help you in moving up the ranks, my friend. Ha ha ha. That's not need to be so humble, Your Highness. Besides, I'm actually really grateful to you, Ambassador. You gave me all kinds of useful advice during my stay here at the embassy that I'm sure will be to my benefit in the future. Well, mean words such as act like a man of the Empire for once in your life, and stop idling here, go home, and try doing some damn work. Oh, get called out. Your Highness, Your Highness, I think you've tormented him enough for one day. The ambassador will behave in the same way any other signed man would in his position. If anything, I'll say he has every right to be angry at us for keeping the truth from him for so long. But, Mueller... I suppose you're right. I'll spare him any more teasing for now. I actually wasn't joking about being grateful to you, though. You truly have done admirable work over the past month. I have. Acting as a pipeline with the Empire, checking the safety of everybody residing in Liberal, helping the international liner service to resume. And those are only the tip of the iceberg. You've done so much more. You have my deepest thanks as a prince of the Empire. I'm not worthy of such a praise, Your Highness. You, however, deserve the utmost for braving the danger you did flying up to the Olivert Arc. All of what happened seems to have caused quite the commotion in our homeland, so the people seem to be rather relieved now that they know the danger has passed. It's all thanks to your courage that they are able to rest easy. Oh, there's no point in flattering me, Ambassador. I just did what I could. Nothing more, nothing less. And I couldn't have done anything alone. All I was able to accomplish was thanks to the help of those around me. I'm fairly removed from that stereotype of urbanist as stern, strong, and self-sufficient, if I do say so myself. Haha, as hard as it may be to agree, perhaps you're correct. And yet I believe your willingness to be flexible most definitely helped rather than hindered you here. I believe people like you are exactly what the Empire is going to need in the future, regardless of how I may feel about this extensive the Chancellor's approach. Ambassador. Well, this is a surprise. I was under the impression that you supported the Chancellor. Then again, you're a noble. Does that lead you to oppose his reformist policies, perhaps? I may be a noble on paper, but I'm only a baron. All in all, I generally fall in favor of his reformist policies. Be that as it may, while this may be just the result of being in Liberal for so long and being influenced by the way of his people, I do sometimes find myself becoming frightened by his hardline approach. I can't help but wonder exactly what direction he's trying to take our old nation. Interesting. Your Highness. Oh, I was just thinking that I'm quite glad to have taken the chance to engage in such a fruitful talk with you just before departing the country. I pray you will continue doing all you can to ensure the pace of Liberal and the surrounding nations while I'm gone. Preferably in cooperation with Ambassador Cochrane. Yes, must not forget her, I suppose. Still, it's true that since the non-aggression pact was signed, there has been more progress with regards to the crossbow problem. And given that it was Rebel who proposed said pact, that makes my role in the future negotiations very important indeed. I presume that is what you're trying to say. You are Shafwan, my good man. Excellent. Now I can return to the capital with my mind at ease. Leave everything here to me, Your Highness. I'll be looking forward to hearing what you achieved back in our homeland. This truly is a country like no other. I never thought a day would come when I would hear things like that from a noble of the Empire. Indeed, he's probably somewhat less of an obstinate man than I thought he was. Perhaps the session's very air has the power to genuinely change people. It seems to have an effect on you too. I feel like I'm seeing a lot more smiles from you these days than I used to. I'm loath to admit it, but that may well be true. I will find myself wishing that you would learn from Liberalian's dignity and sense of restraint, however. Two qualities you don't particularly possess in any measure. In fact, you have far too much of their opposites. You say that, but these qualities are the only weapon that I have. I don't have much that will allow me to compete against the Chancellor. I need to use what still happens to be tucked in my corner as best as I can. Have there been any change to our plans? None. We should be able to proceed as arranged. 3 days ago, the Chancellor left the capital on a tour of Eastern Erebonia. Tomorrow, you will be returning there over to Arsail while he is still out in the east. All those who need to be made aware of our return have been given proper notice. Your arrival in Erebonia will make a real impact, of that I am certain. What potential obstruction to the plan are there at present? Nothing major. There have been some movement in the Intelligence Division 4th Subdivision, but not much. There's a chance that everyone is being cautious because our side is involved. But I put greater odds on the idea that everyone is just treating this as a pompous performance by you and not taking it seriously. Well, that'd be right too. It is. I'm not just about to start here, even if this means I have to use liberal. And if I'm going to put on a show, why not put on the finest one in the skies I've ever seen? I suppose I can argue that. Yes. I'm sorry to trouble you at this late hour, Your Highness. A message has arrived for you from Heimdall. What would you have me do? Really? Alright, come in. Pardon me. Oh, it's him. I forget his name. Crap. Lecter, yes. Well, if it is Lecter. I was wondering where you've been. I haven't seen you all day. I've been exceptionally busy with work since this morning, I'm afraid. I'll hope to be able to come and see you earlier since you will be leaving tomorrow. I'm terribly sorry for not being able to. Huh, oh, never mind that. If that work of yours is done now, we three could always enjoy some sensual quality time together for the remainder of the night. So, what was the message from the capital secretary? They've acknowledged receipt of His Highness, a sage. However, they didn't anticipate that you may be able to arrive all the way from Castle in less than half a day. As such, they are currently in a minor panic trying to ensure everything's ready for the ceremony tomorrow. That doesn't come as a surprise. That's nothing like the Arsail when it comes to speed at home. Ah, how cruel you both are for so deftly ignoring my proposal. Although, it sounds as though the stage will be set in time. Now I need to decide on an outfit that will leave everyone's jaws on the floor to sweeten my arrival. Perhaps a glistening coat and white cloth will do the trick. Haha, that'll make a great impact, alright? I almost wish I could go along and see it myself. Please don't encourage him. Ha, you sure remarkable promise for someone so young. What do you say to coming back on the Arsail with me? I'll welcome your company. Your work here in Liberal is just about done as it is, isn't it? Your offer is certainly tempting, but I'm afraid I have another job to take care of soon. The thought is appreciated, of course. Really? Well, that is a shame. Good luck with that next job of yours. Thank you. Well, if you'll excuse me. So, there is second Secretary Lecter Arundel. Is it safe to assume he's one of the Chancellors? Almost definitely, yes. He came through Haken Gate on foot and took up his new position at the embassy a month ago. And right around the same time we headed to the Liber Arc about the Arsail at that. There's no way that could possibly be coincidence. No, it couldn't. The most likely possibility seems to be that he is part of the Intelligence Division. Are we sure not doing anything regarding him at this time was a good idea? Oh, absolutely. We need some way to find out what the Chancellor was up to, after all. We'll probably get some kind of reaction from the Chancellor through his reports at some point. Probably in about 2 weeks when the Chancellor's tour has finished. You planned that far ahead all along, had you? Well, in that case, I'll be sure that we are ready. I'll be counting on you, love. Oh, something the matter? Not really. It's just that the moon has come out, and what a beautiful full moon it is. It's strange to think that this will be the last time we'll see the moon from here. Truth be told, I'm going to miss it. Well, well, it looks like putting a smile on your face a little more often isn't the only thing Libert done for you. Let's open up your eyes to life's natural beauty as well. But in all seriousness, we just have to do all we can to be able to come back and see it again one day. While we're both still alive. Heh, indeed. The next morning. Your Majesty, Your Highness, I humbly thank you both for your gorgeous, generous hospitality during my stay in your fine kingdom. You were even gracious enough to humor my present request of escorting me back to Hamdar over the Arsail. This debt I owe you will be repaid many times over in the future, rest assured of that. Haha, oh, you didn't think of things as anything we went out of our way for. Escorting an honored state guest back home is a matter of course. Particularly, a guest to whom we owe a great debt of gratitude. If you ever have the opportunity, please do come back to Libert again in the future. I imagine our challenges will be back by then too, so I'll be able to give you a nice warm welcome. Haha, I'm already excited for my next visit. Have they left the country yet, by the way? They are busy getting ready to leave over in Roland at the moment, I believe. I'm planning to see them off when the time comes. I see. Incidentally, while the ruins of Hamel are currently sealed off, I'll do what I can on my own to ensure they are allowed inside. Could I trouble you to pass that along to them? Certainly. Thank you very much, Your Highness. Oh, take nothing of it. As little as I could do after all they've done for me. I owe you a great deal too, Cassius. If not for your assistance, stopping that armored division from crossing into Liberal wouldn't have been as simple as it was. Haha, I could say the same to you. Still, as I'm sure you are aware, that outcomes will have been well within the realm of possibility for the Chancellor. I hope he was even surprised by the incident. Really? Most likely not. Arbonne had anything to gain from using that situation to occupy Liberal. Certainly not to the extent that it will be worth going out of their way to develop inefficient stem tanks. The only reason I can say from him doing what he did was a show of power to surrounding nations, a statement that even without overall power, Arbonne's army could still act. I indeed suspect that it was his true aim all along. Goodness. So he didn't dice. The Roboshatan phenomenon was a complete unknown to the rest of the continent. Perhaps it might never occur again, but there's always the chance it might. Whether it's here or somewhere else entirely. I heard the Empire only built a relatively small number of those things in all too, certainly not enough to launch a full-scale invasion. By the sound of it, they were just put together in Rifeforce factories using part intended for standard orbital tanks. But as it stands, the know-how to put together tanks like that only exists in the Empire. And in these unpredictable times, no other nation has the time or resource to try and develop extremely inefficient stem-powered weaponry. In a sense, because of what just happened, the Empire's army effects as a deterrent is even greater than ever. It's using war as a diplomatic tool, and very effectively at that. None of this has even occurred to me. I have a long way to go before I'm fit to be the ruler of this country. Don't beat yourself up too much about it. He's no ordinary foe to even the most hardened veterans. The Chancellor always seems to be taking several steps ahead of the rest of the world. It's impressive, no matter what we may think of his actual ideas. I'm quite a reckless fool to be trying to challenge him, if I do say so myself. Don't be silly, Your Highness. How can you say that with a smile on your face is utterly beyond me? You should focus on building yourself a strong foothold to begin with. I do hope you'll be careful. No matter what may occur, be sure not to lose sight of exactly where you stand. Of course, Your Majesty. If I were to go and bring shame upon myself now, I'll be wasting all the effort involved in escorting me back home. I'll be sure to take what you have said to heart. Excuse me, Your Majesty. Hilda, what is the matter? It's not often I see you so flustered. My apologies, Your Majesty. It's just that a guest for you arrived all of a sudden at the castle. Ordinarily, I would have not rushed in while you were meeting with others, but the visitor is so irregular that I thought you should know at once. Irregular? How so? It sounds like it's about time I take my leave then. Actually, the visitor said he would like to greet you as well, and not just Her Majesty. What? Hilda, just who is this visitor? Well, he introduced himself as Chancellor Quillet Osborne of the Erebonian Empire. Wow! It's here! Oh, it's an honor to be granted a personal audience. I am Quillet Osborne, a representative of the Empire government. My apologies for the abrupt intrusion. So, you are Chancellor Osborne. And it's a pleasure to see you again as well, Your Highness. It's been a year since we last met, has it not? I hope these passing months have seen you well. Yes, a year sounds about right. Still, well, I hope you'll forgive me for asking. Just what did prompt someone of your stature to appear at the castle without warning? I'd very much like to hear your side of story. My apologies, Your Highness. You see, these past few days, I've been touring Eastern Arbonia on routine inspection. It's been going very smoothly, more so than I had initially anticipated. I had no free time in my schedule to pay a cordial visit. Oh my, is that so? Naturally, I would have preferred to come here while the crisis was still unfolding like you yourself did, Your Highness. Unfortunately, the confusion in Southern Arbonia was simply too pressing a matter, and I have no choice but to deal with that first. This was the first chance that presented itself to come here and meet directly with Her Majesty, so I acted with the most utmost expediency. I hope you'll forgive my lack of proper decorum in failing to give advance notice of my arrival. That does make sense, at least. Regardless, please don't concern yourself with me. Would have you wish to offer your greetings to Her Majesty? My thanks, Your Highness. Well then, allow me to extend my most heartfelt greetings to both of you, Queen Alicia and Princess Claudia. I abundantly clear that the crisis that unfolded here has been quite the ordeal for yourself and for your nation people. You have my deepest sympathies for the hardship you have endured, as well as my commendation for bringing the situation under control. I thank you for your kind words, Your Excellency. If anything, we should be apologizing to you for the fact that the southern side of your nation was caught up in what should have been our problem. We should be the ones going to you, rather than having you trouble yourself to come all the way to Liberal. I beg you to accept our apologies together with my deepest thanks for coming here today. I will never have asked for apologies. I thought what happened was the work of the shadowy organization stirring up trouble within your borders. While I mean well by sending a military force to aid you, I wouldn't have done something so careless had I known the truth of the matter. My actions were rash, foolish even, and I was rightfully reprimanded by His Imperial Majesty for them. Oh my. Fortunately, His Highness the Prince was able to act with all due haste to put right my misstep before even greater harm was done. I owe you a great debt of gratitude for that, Your Highness. And congratulations besides, for your part in bringing an end to the crisis. Oh, I did nothing out of the ordinary. I had a lot of help from Her Majesty, Her Highness, and Brigadier General Bright here too. Bright, you say? It's a pleasure to meet you, Your Excellency. I am Gaius Bright, a Brigadier General in the Liberian Royal Army. Ha ha, the pleasure is all mine, I assure you. Your name is rather well known even in the Empire. Not as much as yours is known here in Liberal, I would imagine. It's an honor to be able to speak with you in person. I certainly was surprised to be able to, though. Coming here on a whim can have been easy for a man as busy as yourself. It's not as though I may be underestimate just how capable you truly are. Not at all. I was greatly impressed to see the Royal Army effectiveness in dealing with the tumult here. Your forces have proven powerful yet flexible, capable of dealing with emergencies ably and decisively. I might go as far as to say that it embodies an ideal that the Emperor Army, with its sole rank, could never hope to realize. You flatter us, Your Excellency. For your part, I hear you were responsible for the establishment of the Imperial Army's famous Legends Division. Our army is in desperate need of a new one of its own, so I find myself quite envious. Ha ha ha, and it sounds as though the two of us each want what the other has. Ha ha, so it does. May I ask, Your Excellency, what will you be doing now? For my part, I'm intending to leave Libra today, so I'm afraid I won't be around much longer. Yes, so I've been told. I believe you are intending to make your grand arrival to Hamter about the famous art sale. I'm impressed you are already aware. I almost wish I could return to Albany on board it alongside you, but alas, I'm afraid I have other business demanding my attention after I'm finished here. I'll be leaving Libra separately this afternoon. That is a shame. I would very much have liked to invite you to this evening banquet. Please, you need not to go to such troubles on my account. I feel as though I've put you out enough showing up unannounced as I did, to say nothing of dining with such an esteemed company. Still, I do have some time before the airship I'll be leaving on its due to depart. That being the case, might I ask for a little bit of your time, Your Highness? I have a few things I would like to discuss with you, personally. Huh. Very well. I have some matter I would actually like to discuss personally with you as well. What a fortuitous coincidence. Allow me to have a room arranged for the two of you to have your discussion then. Hilda, if you would. Certainly, Your Majesty. Ah, it's obvious that Her Majesty is quite a tea fancier, if this blend is anything to go by. The fragrance, the temperature, the taste, I'll be hard pressed to find fault with any of it. I've always been more of a coffee man myself, but I have no doubt that I'll be content with a cup of tea at my desk each morning. As much as I agree with you, I don't believe we are here to talk about beverage. So shall we get right to the point? What did you want to discuss with me? Ha ha. I see your sojourn in Libra has proven most fruitful. Pardon? When we last spoke, you struck me as bright, flexible young man, and no doubt you still are. But now, I see in your resilient inner strength guarding those aspects. I'm sure His Majesty will be most delighted with your personal development. Ha! Meanwhile, I see you're the same fearless man I've always known you to be. More so even, that crushing aura about you seems to have only grown with time. It's as if you fit under the assignment of those who live in the territories you annex. Haha, such a harsh word, Your Highness. Personally, I prefer the term political unification. Annexing carries such a negative connotation, you know? Since the end of the 100 Days War, our army hasn't committed a single act of aggression. All our unifications have been entirely peaceful. Oh, you're quite right about that. On the surface. Oh. It's amazing how similar the annexation process is every single time it happens. Oh, it's getting hot here. It starts with a small nation or independent state with an array of problems being repaired. Those problems start to worsen, after which Jaegers and other dangerous elements enter, plunging public order to an all-time low. Desperate for a solution, the local government requests the help of the Imperial Army. Before they know it, they are part of the Empire. Well, it's not as though I can deny what you're saying. Each instance does share certain commonalities. Still, it's to be expected, an inevitable consequence of the unchecked growth and progress in which we live. The Imperial Army is simply acting in the Empire's best interests, helping to establish our neighbors for the good of the Empire. Helping, huh? I don't think helping means annexing. And it's understandable that they would. I do find myself very curious why the intelligence division's members are going to such a nation with such a peculiar frequency. Well before the problems I described worsen, no less. Haha, I'm impressed as to where you came by such information, as curious as I am. But I'll say this, at its most basic level, these actions are but to risk management. It's because we've been acting to minimize such a risk beforehand that the army has been able to successfully quell each problem in turn, with a small part of earning the disdain of the people in those nations and an increased risk of terrorism in exchange. To tell you the truth, I'm rather astounded that you had the courage to come here to liberate all on your own to begin with. After all, you've earned yourself the biggest target for terrorists in all of Erebonia. Haha, your concern is touching, Your Highness. I'll ask that you not trouble yourself with my safety. I employed some very skilled subordinates tasked primarily with eliminating the rest of terrorist attacks against me. Really now? That actor is one of those, I assume. Haha, a rather peculiar fellow, isn't he? But a very useful one all the same. Working out the scheduling for this trip and taking all the necessary precautions to ward off the terrorist threats for what he's doing. And thanks to his commendable efforts, I can report for Crossbell free-form warriors as soon as I finish my business here. Crossbell? Are you surprised? I'll be participating in a top-secret discussion with a representative of the Crossbell government. Recently, a large amount of funding has been flowing into the country through Republican channels, putting our allies on the defensive. I was meant to visit at some point, and this seemed the perfect opportunity. Are you out of your mind? Crossbell is full of enemies and different factions at each other's throats. I hear it's now even a hotbed for terrorists and criminal organizations because of its position as a buffer state. Does that really sound like a place that the Iranian Chancellor should be going even on an unofficial visit? I'm surprised to hear you advocating caution in the face of potential danger, Your Highness. After all, it was you who flew into the ancient city, at great risk to your own safety, and returned unharmed after surveying it. Compared to such a risk-taking, my visit to Crossbell will be child's play. As I'm sure you are aware, you're regarded as something of a hero back in Erebonia now. Ah, to see a hero make a grand return befitting his newly minted legend, and aboard the famous Arcel no less. Naturally, our hero has also taken the time to ensure that every well-known newspaper and magazine are aware of his homecoming too. Oh, I've no doubts that your triumphant arrival will be as glorious as it has played out in your imaginings, Your Highness. Haha, do be sure to capitalize on this chance as best as you can to build yourself a firm foothold. I expect great things from you after all. Damn, this is hot. Such a hot conversation I have here. Hey, buddy. You haven't changed a bit, huh? Really? Sounds like a ton's heaven, huh? But it's nice to see you and your master are doing alright. Vector. Well, good day to you, Your Highness. I pray I'm not causing any trouble by taking a tour of the castle like this. The view from the stairs certainly is beautiful, isn't it? What happened to you, Lecter? How did you end up working for Chancellor Osborne? I'm sorry, I haven't the faintest idea what you mean. Are you perchance mistaking me for someone else? Your name is Lecter Arundel. You were the Southern Council President at Genisrael Academy, which you attended before leaving suddenly 2 years ago. So no, I'm not mistaking you for someone else. Ah, but that's where you're wrong, because my name is actually Lecter Arundel. I can certainly see how our names could become mixed up, however. They are scarily close. Still, now you know. Please, just call me Lek. Don't try and joke around with me, Lecter. Do you have any idea how worried all of us were when you just disappeared without a word? You summoned thought your orders to leave the academy and then were never seen again. Even the others calmly let out a cry of anger when he found out. And Alusical to us gave us a sad smile and say, this is just like him, the whole time with tears in her eyes. Jill and Hans were heartbroken, and so was I. Yet, after all that, after all this time, you finally show yourself, knowing full well that I'm here, and this is how you act? By pretending you are someone else? Haha. Lecter! Sorry, no need for the scare glare. You're still taking things way too seriously. Looks like it'll take more than stepping up as a crown princess to change that part of you. Ah, but you know, seeing you makes me feel kinda relieved. I always figured if someone like you become crown princess, you have virtually no freedom to do anything other than work. But from all that's reached my ears, it sounds like you are actually doing alright for yourself. And you even made some great new friends after I left the academy, didn't you? Nice. I sure did. Nonetheless, it's thanks to you that I was able to change at all. You're the one who gave me the first push in that direction. I never got a chance to thank you properly after you left. But all this time, I've always been grateful to you. Well, consider me honored. Do I get a kiss in return? You do not. I may feel respect towards you, but nothing romantic. Ah, that's a bummer. There was me, I'll take in by how pretty you'll become, wondering if this could be the start of something downright magical. And what happens instead? My dreams of romance and sweet smooch are crushed to nothing before they can even begin. Haha, I know you don't mean a word of that, you know? You're looking very sharp yourself though. It's surprising to see. Every time I've seen you before today, it was in that heavily fried uniform worn in the most sloppy way imaginable. I think you'll find I was merely making a fashion statement. That wasn't laziness or slobbishness. Every part of it was carefully calculated and considered to have maximum effect. The scary thing is, I actually believe you. You all seem as if you cared for nothing but having fun and causing trouble. And yet when it came down to it, you're wise beyond your years. And I've finally seen part of the reason behind that today. I'll ask you again, Lecter. How did you end up working for Chancellor Osborne like this? Just what happened to you between you something you noticed to leave the academy and now? Ah, come on! No answer? God damn it, game! Do you know? Haha, I have to admit, I never imagined that would be the case. On the contrary, I was expecting you to tell me to back off. Oh, I disapprove it. What reason would I have to suggest such a thing? After all, at the end of the day, our positions are functionally the same. I'm not sure I understand. Do you not think so? Personally, I find it difficult to believe that you would not harbor some hatred toward everybody as it is today. A grand empire clinging to the glories of bygone era, ruled by the nobility and shackled by meaningless conventions. Am I wrong? People call me the blood and iron chisel as though I hold the whole of Erebonian in the palm of my hand. But in reality, my position is far more tenuous. I have supporters and allies in the capital, certainly, but outside its walls, the nobility holds far more sway than any of them. And while it is true that I hold a great amount of power in the form of the Imperial Army, even then, I only command around 70% of it. The remainder is loyal to the nobility, who also maintain their own private armies. With this factor in, my advantage shrinks substantially. So you see, I'm still very much in the midst of a battle to truly exert control, which is why you're building railways all over the country to expand your area of influence. And you've been annexing new territory that I'm in. As I've long thought, you clearly understand me better than anyone else. That is why, I'll say this once again, work with me, Your Highness. With your support, our nation will be able to bring about a real reform faster than ever. The noble faction, bloated with its centuries of decadence, can be stopped before they even have the chance to unify against us. Surely that's what you deserve more than anything. Let me just ask a simple question, Chancellor. What connection do you have with Ouroboros? I'm afraid I'm not quite sure what you are asking. I will say this, however. I'm a firm believer in using every resource at my disposal in the name of achieving reform. That's the way I believe in handling politics. I see. Well, it certainly does seem as though we would see eye to eye in many ways. And that's all the more reason why I am afraid I must refuse your offer. Is that so? Yes. I find it difficult to like the rotten noble faction that exists in the Empire. Or, perhaps you are right that hate is the more appropriate word. But my feelings of fear towards you merits are far greater than my feelings of hatred towards the nobles. What you seem to be doing is trying to compel Arbonians with a delusive utopia, to whip them into an enthusiastic frenzy. No doubt by successfully convincing the people, the old court will fall into the metaphorical firestorm created. And yet by then, the gears will have already begun turning. There will be no satisfying a roused populace with a thirst for revolution. The storm will just keep growing larger and more ravenous, engulfing anything and everything in its way. You know this, don't you, Chancellor? But of course. After all, this is what I intend to happen, as the first stage of my reforms. Oh my! Oliver's really pissed. I'd be more than happy to share further details with you if you were to decide to work with me, Your Highness. In the meantime, I wish you well in strengthening your foothold back in the Empire. Of course, if that's your intention, you'll find it necessary to work with those nobles you so despise. Huh, you truly do see through everything, don't you? Well, it sounds like the noon bell. The rest should be arriving shortly. Which means it's time for me to take my leave. I'm afraid. I look forward to seeing you again in the capital in 2 weeks' time. I take it the discussion is over then. What's wrong? You look awfully tired. Nothing. I'm just feeling out anew at what a monster I decided to pick up a fight with. Oopsie, I think it's probably about time for the ship to arrive. I'm gonna have to stop you there and get along. What? See you, Sick. Next time I see you, I'll bring you some urban salami as a souvenir, okay? Wait! Are you planning to just disappear without telling me anything a second time? Oh, got an important question for you. Did you fall in love with someone while I was away? Huh? Hit on the head, huh? Ah, that's so cute. First love, right? How's that feel? Heart all aflutter 1 minute, and afterward the next? Don't you dare start teasing me! But you're right though, I did. You rejected me in this very spot not that long ago. Wait, you're joking, right? There's a coincidence I didn't see coming. I'm not so sure about that. It feels like you know everything sometimes. I'm not some kind of all-knowing, all-seeing divinity. That's what makes the world so interesting to me. Ah, that padding. Oh, I'm happy for you, Chloe. Knowing the pain of lost love what makes a girl blossom, in my humble opinion. Do you feel like the whole experience lets you get a step closer to the person you want to be? Well, what about you? Do you feel like you're getting closer to becoming the person you want to be? By being at that Chancellor's side? Kinda hard to do that when I don't have a person I want to be to begin with. I'm just sticking with him because it feels like it'll be fun. That's all. I've been doing it since before I joined the academy, in fact. You have. That princess is proving surprisingly capable, but it still isn't matched for the Chancellor. Tell him to watch his back, alright? So that he doesn't get swallowed up by that monster after he gets tired of dancing. Goodbye, Hector. Thank you all for waiting. The Calabria International Airliner, bound for the Principality of Remiferia, will be departing momentarily. Please mind your footing when boarding. Alright, they are leaving. So, the sad story gave me some clear picture of Oliver and the Chancellor situation. So that was the Blood and Iron Chancellor. I can't believe he actually went out of his way. This is a civilian airship and he probably has a private one of his own. I heard rumors about how out of ordinary he is, but he lives up to all of them. Haha, he keeps me on my toes, to put it playfully enough. Him aside, thanks for coming all this way to see me off, Shira. I was lucky I just happened to have a business here at the right time. It feels like this is going to be the last chance that we get to see one another for a while, after all. Rather unfortunate, as my dream is and always was to live away my days in the life of luxury surrounded by a woman as beautiful as you. Huh, well, good luck with that. Changing the subject, though. What's the young man at the chancellor side? He didn't strike me as your ordinary guy. Oh, you could tell. But of course, I was used to running into people who are out of the ordinary at this point. We've sure fought enough of them. His name's Lecter Arundel. He's the secretary who was sent here by the Imperial government. Apparently, he was the one who planned out all the details of the chancellor's visit to the Liberal. I can't pretend to know much regarding his background, but he's exceptionally skilled at what he does. Actually, I know a little. What? Oh. Is that true? Yes. Claudia explained that Lecter once attended the same academy as her and had served as its student council president. She also mentioned about his sudden disappearance after the academy festival 2 years ago. Unbelievable. Then, someone connected to the chancellor had visited Liberal first. Then he's very likely to have had his own veritable information network established here long before I even came up with the idea. I think it's safe for us to assume that's the case. Which also means that it's safe to assume he knows every detail about all that's happened here since. From the coup d'etat to the crisis regarding the Oreo, all of it. That's when it gets more unbelievable by the minute. You actually gave me a message to pass on to you earlier too. Watch your back, so that you get swallowed up by that monster when you get tired of dancing. He sure knows how to sting where it hurts, doesn't he? Haha, I feel like I can see a whole new world of pleasure opening up before my eyes. Sorry by the way for my voice dying. I just cannot keep up with continuous dialogue and voicing them. You should know better. Getting out done at everything like this is really not my style. What do you mean? Captain Shores, I have a little favor I'd like to ask when we are in the air. Haha, I'm really impressed with how Prince Olivert has come along. No matter how he chooses to act from here on, he will have his uses, to be certain. You would say that, given that you think of everyone as your pawns. There's me, the prince, that's society. Indeed, and I am much the same. We are but pawns on a vast game board that is the Empire, where our thrill like no other will take place. But that's because of you too, wish to see how that game plays out that you've chosen to stand with me, is it not? Well hey, what can I say? Just don't forget that this beast right here might not be loyal forever. And such a betrayal would be perfectly fine by me. Or did you honestly think I'll never consider the possibility of it may happen? Just thought I'd come out and say it. How are the other Ironbloods doing, by the way? They're all doing very well, by the sound of it. If the right things are going, there's a chance that all of the Prince's efforts will be for naught. Perhaps it ought to hold back on him a little. You shouldn't pull any punches, do you? You know something? I wouldn't let him off so easily if I were in your shoes. What? Oh, they're gonna show off. Yep, they're showing off. What? Huh. This looks like rose petals? We've been informed that it's on its way to inform. Oh, goddammit, it's too fast. Yes? Oh, he's so smart at using his charismatic skill. I never thought there was a bigger dumbass in this world than me. And yet here we are. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Very well, the Butcher's Prince. I look forward to seeing what you can do. Show me how long you can hold out against me. And that's the end of it? Yep. Divine Eye. Nice. New quartz. Let's see how good it is. Divine Eye. Send, Eagle Eye, Information, 17 Fine, Fortune. Whoa! Wow, that's good. Alright, I'm glad that I checked this door. Anyway, I'm gonna stop this bonus episode here. My name is Odito, and I hope you guys enjoyed this side story. And I'm sorry for my lack of voice acting skill and my dying voice after 40 minutes of non-stop talking. Well, anyway, see you guys later in the next canon episode. Have a nice day, everyone, and peace out. Bye!